Thank you for auditing the always positive, unedited new music review show hosted by a French professor who's going to be talking about Speak Now, Taylor's version by Taylor Swift, and I'm going to be talking about the highs and the lows of this album. Hey, Swifties, I know you're here, okay? Swifties are some of the best viewers of this channel. Okay, big Taylor Swift fans love to watch my perspective because I'm coming in kind of blind. I've been aware of her, but I haven't really listened to her albums. I'm experiencing them all as new. And I know that Swifties have a sort of reputation of being intolerant of any kind of negativity towards Taylor Swift at all. Sort of believe in infallibility, that she can literally do no wrong. So when I say that this is the worst Taylor Swift album that I've ever heard, you might be getting mad, but please just stay with me. Okay, I actually have more faith in Swifties than I do in, say, Bob Dylan fans, you know? Like, I think that if you watch this review of me listening to the album Speak Now for the first and only time in my entire life, that I think you'll like what I have to say that's good, and you might find interesting, we might find some truth in the things that I think are not as good. So I'm saying it's the worst Taylor Swift album I've ever heard. I have only heard her output since 2018. So I've only heard Lover and Evermore and Longmore and all that and Midnights and then the 3 Taylor's versions that have come out. So out of those albums, out of those, 6, 7 albums, this is the one I've liked the least. But here's the part where maybe you're less angry. It's still amazing. It's still filled with amazing songs. I listened to it primarily on this very strange and lonely walk that I took in New Hampshire, a state which I have a lot of difficulty with, and that I was in for less than 24 hours. And I was walking around this very strange, haunted woods of my past where I've lived very many bad memories. And I'm walking through there, and I'm listening to Speak Now, and I am crying, okay? I'm not like, oh wow, that kind of got me. You know, it's not like, we're talking Death of a Salesman crying. We're talking, I'm walking past this like condo that I didn't even know was there, and there's all these kids playing, and they're just seeing this guy in a sun hat with his headphones in, and he's just crying, okay? So I'm saying this is my least favorite Taylor Swift album, but I'm also saying it can really hit me hard. And the thing about Taylor Swift that I think is so interesting, I've been working on this theory for a while. You'll see behind me I have the complete Harry Potter book on tape by Jim Dale. You know, Taylor Swift is a hero, like a true hero of mine. Okay, like I don't have that many artistic heroes. I have a lot of artists that I like, but like people who you can see and really identify with. And there are a few figures. You know, I'm thinking of George Lucas. I'm thinking of, and you'll definitely get angry at this, Kanye West. I'm thinking of J.K. Rowling. People who just by their own creativity create worlds. And it's usually measured because we live in a crass society in dollars. But it is something to say that someone can have ideas and it generates literally thousands of millions of dollars, literally billions of dollars just from the ideas in their head. That the entire culture, society can shift according to their creativity. But it's been a pretty rough time for my heroes, okay? George Lucas basically retired. Kanye West, the artist currently known as Ye, even though he's one of my favorite artists, he's in a bad place. I can't really support him now. It's very difficult, very conflicted relationship there. And of course, J.K. Rowling decided she caught 2016, whatever that is, that kind of viral disease, COVID 2016, and she's become a conservative anti-trans activist. So there goes another one. But what about Taylor Swift? I mean, talk about a hero. You know, talk about somebody who has ideals, who has creativity, who figures out how to live by those ideals and figures out how to not only spread creativity, but spread a love of creativity, who leaves behind her a wake of people completely inspired to live better lives, to lead more creative lives. And all the while, she has this project, you know, this whole project of re-recording her music. I've said it before, I said it again. She is doing what Ye said he would do. She is actually reclaiming her masters, okay? So, even though this is my least favorite album of her, it further cements why she is one of my heroes. And I don't have many heroes, you know? People are very fallible, but she is truly one of my heroes. So, you know, yeah, it's my least favorite album. I don't like a lot of the songwriting's good, you know, like obviously the songwriting's good, and I guess this was the album where she really wanted to show everybody that she could write songs completely by herself without co-writers. No problem on that. It's just the production. The production is too often kind of like soft rock, or like pop country, or like early 2010s like semi-emo, whatever the hell was happening in rock and roll. I wasn't paying attention back then. But just sort of like a anthemic, stadium-y rock gloop that what I would like, and maybe this exists, I don't know, you tell me, Swifties. I would like Speak Now naked, you know, just nothing. Just Taylor and a guitar. Maybe, I don't know, Antonov or Dessner in the background with a mandolin or something. I don't care what. You know, but just really strip this down just to have her songwriting. So that's my problem. But again, before you get too mad, just as a reminder, this was my graduation gift to my niece. You know, I got her a black velvet painting. One of a kind black velvet painting for her graduation because she's such a Swiftie. I think she's actually going to go see the Eras tour this week. You know? So, you know, before you get too mad at me for saying bad things about this album, just remember that. Also, I'm a music reviewer, and this is a re-release of the old versions. So what a perfect time for me to do the simplest comparison of listening to the original and then listening to this. But I'm not giving Scooter Braun 1/4 of 1/4 of 1 penny per listen. You understand me? I'm not going to listen to it. Never. I will never listen to the Speak Now bad version. I'm going to call it the bad version, the Braun version, the Scooter version, the Scooter cut. Okay? Suppress the Scooter cut. Hashtag. All right? And what I've come to realize, if I didn't already appreciate this anti-Scooter brigade as much as I did, she's not releasing them in order, which I didn't understand. And this is part of why I think this album didn't hit with me at first. In my mind, Fearless was her first album. Turns out it's not. Red was her second album. Turns out it's not. And then this was her third album. Turns out that's correct. But I thought this came after Red. And to me, the sort of juvenilia of Fearless was fine, and I understood that as being her first album. Turns out it's her second. Still, hey. But this, like, the idea that this came after Red made no sense to me in terms of its production and songwriting and just general quality. Because I personally think Taylor Swift's artistic progression so far is a line up. It's not a dipping thing. It's a line up. And the top of Taylor Swift's album production, based on what I've heard, is Midnight's. Okay? That's the top. So now that I understand this actually came before Red, it helps me to better understand this is a progression. I think also, too, you know, I don't care about who she was. I mean, it's cool that she's had this whole development and that she was this person and all that, but I find who she is to be much more interesting, especially as she sort of ages into this role of a kind of pan-cultural, ageless matriarch of all culture and wholesome love of art. I don't really even know how to describe it. So this feels very much like a statement of who Taylor Swift was in 2010, and you know, I don't personally care about that. The thing that makes it so great, obviously, not just the songwriting, but it's really the lyrics. It's incredible how good of a lyricist she has always been, and I get it because it's probably mostly Swifties watching. You're like, that's what we've been saying, but hey, nobody knows, okay? No, seriously, nobody knows. Taylor Swift gets all the credit for being what she is and what she looks like and people liking her and all that, but she is not getting the respect that she deserves as a lyricist. And based on this album, it's been a long time she's not been getting that credit. She writes lyrics as well as they can be written. At her worst, and this is the low points of this album, At her worst is when she gets in her petty mode. You know, the biographical stuff, I just don't care. I just don't care. I don't care who broke her heart. I don't care what her parents were like. I don't care who she was attracted to. I don't care what happened in her life at all. At all. To me, that's beneath her. And I understand that's part of her appeal. So if that's her appeal to you, vaya con Dios, you know? But to me, I care about the artist. As far as I'm concerned, Taylor Swift could be a 70-year-old man living in Manchuria, okay? Just making this art, okay? I don't need to know what is real and what is not. So when she gets particularly petty, I find it aggravating. And in addition, given her youth and the youthful position from which she writes in her youth, she sometimes will switch to this sort of sage-like writing, like writing which I would find much easier to tolerate now. But anytime anyone really young writes as though they're really old, it doesn't come across as wise, it comes across as foolish. Because that's the wisdom comes with age. It just does. It just does. You can be a wise young person, but you're still a fool compared to a wise old person. Because it literally comes from age, okay? So there's a kind of arrogance that comes through at times in this album. So pettiness and arrogance. So that's the low points of this album. So Skye calls Taylor Swift petty and arrogant. Down thumb. I'm only going to be reviewing the material that came out with the original release. So I'm not going to review the tracks from the deluxe edition, and I'm not going to release Taylor's Vault or Taylor's Coffin or whatever the hell it is, whatever the extra material is. Here's my promise to you, my auditors, my viewers, my Swifties. If this video gets over 5,000 views, I'll cover the other material. It should get there, but who knows, you know? I'll gladly go in and review the rest. That's what I did for Red, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. This is my mug. It's the only piece of merch I have. I don't do sponsorships. You know, I don't use a VPN. I don't think you need to. I don't use Audible. You just go to the library. Free books on tape. A thing called Libby. It's awesome. So you can smash like buckets. That's the way you can support me. You can buy a mug if you want. You can subscribe. If you don't know, I have a little trick on all of my videos. If you have a comment and anywhere in the comment is AVAA, awesome video as always, or any kind of 4-letter acronym you want, I can decipher. I'll leave a heart on the comment. So go ahead. See if you can get me. See if you can trick me. I think I've caught them all but one. So you can even just leave that as a comment. Just trying to give you permission to say that you like my video without having to think about anything funny or cute to say. And I'll interact with you. So there you go. All right, let's get into the album, huh? So it starts off with the track Mine, which I think is the perfect example of my journey with this song, with this album. And maybe it's possible that this is a journey you've had as well. Oh. I press play. I press pause. Oh. I started it over again. See if I do better. Okay. It's okay, Skye. Just chill. That's not what you want. You don't want an album to start with a Shania Twain. And I like Shania Twain just fine. I once drove around San Diego with my brother Bart in a rental drop-top Mustang, screaming "Feels Like a Woman." It was great. But hey, I don't want Taylor Swift to be Shania Twain. So I hated it. I hated Mine on the first listen because just the it's like, what is this cheesy little pop nothing? Like, come on, you're more than But over time, as I listened to the song, I appreciated it. I learned to accept it because the rest of the song is so cool. This is, I think, by far the best produced song on the album. The sound of the guitar, the way the drums are muted. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be either purely pop country or anthem rock. It's just this kind of nice mixture. And it's a wonderful example of her ability to write songs. She is the great, she writes in the 31st person. She writes in the third person from the first person. So she writes about other people's experiences from the first person. And because I don't care about her biography, because I actively don't want to know as much about Jake Gyllenhaal as I already do. I was actively avoiding information about Jake Gyllenhaal in my review of this album, even trying to avoid it. It's like trying to avoid spoilers for Game of Thrones or something. It's like, oh, there's dragons? That's what it's like. Oh, there's Jake Gyllenhaal all over this album? Still, like, she writes in the first person, like, do you remember when I did this and I did this? And she writes from her perspective, but it's not actually about her, because this song couldn't possibly be about her, because it's a song about, middle-class lovers who are figuring out their way through. But it's filled with this great songwriting, this ability she has to write these songs, which are, it's just too good. Just this one stupid line. You made a rebel out of a careless man's careful daughter. You just don't get better than that. And the reason that it's so good is how many girls, women, young women, old women have careless men as fathers. Well, think how many careless men there are who have daughters, okay? What a freaking crazy thing to talk about. What a crazy insight to have. That of course a careless man might have a careless daughter whose form of rebellion or trying to find structure in her life is set against the carelessness of her father by creating some kind of rigid system that she can use to fight the chaos of her careless father. Can you tell that I had a careless father? Literally, my father's best piece of insight his entire 83 years of living was when he said, I think my biggest problem is I'm sometimes careless. And you better believe that made me more careful. I know this is not a song for me. It's not a song for a 45-year-old man who's happily married. But when she sings a song, you made a rebel out of a careless man's careful daughter, I feel like that careful daughter. Even though I'm not a 20-year-old pop star, okay? And that's what she can do. That's what she... So, okay. Bugs me a little bit. But it's like country, country music is fascinating because so much of it is so well written, but it's like written by committees and it's written by people whose job it is to write lyrics. And when I think about my favorite country lyricist, in particular Willie Nelson, like the way Willie Nelson is able to write lyrics that just make you go, oh, how did he think of that? How did he craft that over time? That went from being a thing where one person can sing it and one person can write it into an entire team of writers and people in Nashville come up with all these perfect lyrics. And some of these lyrics are great. I mean, they're great. Go ahead, support whoever it is that writes all the lyrics for Sam Keith or Toby Whitlock or Gilly Stutz. I don't know. I'm just making up names here. Actually, Sam Keith is a comic book artist, one of my favorite comic book artists. But Taylor Swift is able to do all of it. She's able to be the star while also being the Nashville writers behind her, who are capable of writing lyrics as good as you made a rebel out of a careless man's careful daughter, which also is just catchy, is also just cool, and then there's all these other details, like do you remember sitting by the water? Just like these little tiny details that just paint this whole tableau, and you just see it all, and what's great is that she's not singing about herself, so you see a different person in this story, and you relate to it if you had a careless man as a father, and then you see yourself. I see me by the water, and then you also see you see her because she's singing, so you do actually see her. Yeah, you're the best thing that's ever been mine. It's an interesting lyric because, boy, would that be problematic if it was sung by a man. But it's not. That's great. And just these lyrics, just the second chorus, I had to just write it all out. Second verse, I had to write it all out. Flash forward and they're taking on the world together. There's a drawer of my things at your place. How? Most people don't believe that Taylor Swift writes her own lyrics because they're misogynists, okay? Because they don't believe that young women are capable of doing things that they're very, very clearly capable of doing, okay? I don't believe she writes everything because I cannot believe she would have the insight to have this kind of detail given her life experience. I was in my mid-20s living a weird life by the time when I had a drawer of my things at your place. How did she think of this line? It seems impossible to have this kind of insight to what people are going through. And no wonder people want to just spend their whole life thinking about Taylor Swift's music, because there's a drawer of my things at your place is one of the most relatable lyrics written by one of the least relatable human beings on planet Earth. How the hell do we relate to Taylor Swift? We can't. She's living on another planet. Her chef has a chef. You know what I'm saying? Her pilot has a pilot, okay? Her private jet pilot has somebody who flies him to fly her, okay? That's how much money and stratospheric access she has to absolutely everything. But still, she was able to write this lyric. And there's a drawer of my things at your place. You learn my secrets and you figure out why I'm guarded. You say we never make my parents' mistakes. Okay? Beautiful. That's it. That's what you say when you're in your 20s. You say, I'm never going to make my parents' mistakes. Spoilers, you are. You are. Hey, piece of advice, don't get married in your 20s. Try to avoid it if you can. I know, it's a lot easier having babies in your 20s, but you're going to be screwed up. You're going to be screwed up by your parents. You can't help it. Nothing to do. Go to some therapy. Figure it out. Maybe you're not supposed to be together. Anyways. Yeah, they're going to make the same mistakes as their parents. And we got bills to pay. We got nothing figured out. That was, when it was hard to take, yes, this is what I thought about. And what's interesting is this song actually ends on kind of a happy note of love persisting. And the final track ends on kind of a happy note as well. And then everything else in the mix is all just like failed love relationships or beginning romances or non-romances. Okay, sparks fly. Why wasn't this the title of the album? Because there's so many damn sparks in this album. This album is just like Sparky McSparkison and the Sparks. There are so many sparks on this album. More kind of country, guitar, power. Is this a trick? Like her voice? Because the difference between a 19-year-old voice and a 32-year-old voice is insane. Like, I hear recordings of myself when I was 19, 18, and I might as well be 5. Hi, my name is Skye. Hey, we be loving. Welcome to the new YouTube channel. You know, like, even that, even just like a couple of years ago. How does her voice sound so young? Is she doing that thing where, like, James Earl Jones sounds like he did when he was in his 20s? Like, is this AI? Is this like AI Taylor Swift chatbot? I don't know. It's crazy how young her voice sounds. I really enjoy the melody on this song. Meet me in the pouring rain. I see the sparks fly. You know, this is like, so, you know, there's the stuff that I love about her songwriting, which is when she just makes those realizations or makes these points that I can't believe she can make. That's the highs. The lows is the kind of petty stuff. And then kind of in the middle is this sort of super romantic stuff, you know, like sort of just watched The Notebook and wanted to write a song about it kind of thing. That's not Gyllenhaal in The Notebook, right? Who's in The Notebook? Rachel McAdams? And, is that Gosling? I don't know. Why is someone coming down the stairs? Hey, who's coming down the stairs?
Me.
What are you doing? Okay. Sorry. I don't have my video. Okay, just run on down. I'm talking about Taylor. Nice. Sorry. I have a real house here. Whenever I do my videos, my whole house goes on absolute moratorium. Hey, you know, gotta go. But this is the thing with this song, and this is, I didn't like this song at first, and by the second chorus, I'm like, I'm all into it. So, you know, that's good songwriting. That's good pop songwriting. Good pop songwriting makes you go, I don't like this first verse, and then there you go. Makes reference to green eyes. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. This shirt makes me have green eyes. I have shirts that make me have blue eyes. So, hey, there you go. The bridge is, you know, this is just wrong enough to make it feel right. I do really enjoy the piano guitar breakdown, then a little bit of fiddle. I just, in general, I know a lot of her fans really like her country stuff because that feels more like authentic. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that there is an authentic Taylor Swift sound. Like, I don't. I believe that pop is as authentic as folk is as authentic as country. She is just a goddamn artist, and whatever the hell she wants to do is the authentic thing. If she wakes up tomorrow and wants to make EDM, then that's the authentic thing that Taylor Swift does, because she is an artist on the level of Picasso, not an artist on the level of Nick Lachey, okay? So just let's not get it twisted, all right? That being said, I could do without the damn fiddle. In general, there's a lot of this album that seems to be sort of talking about toxic relationships and then romanticizing toxic relationships, which seems to be a pattern that will continue through the rest of her music. It's okay, but I've been in toxic relationships, which have led me to go to terrible places in New Hampshire. But I've been in non-toxic relationships, and I can tell you, non-toxic relationships, there's just as much sparks flying. There's just as much like that good deep down feeling. It's just you've done a little bit of therapy and you don't need to suffer. Back to December. This album, it's wild. Stylistically, it's wild because sometimes it really feels like it's trying to be pop country and then it feels like it's really trying to be pop rock. This feels, mandolin and a flangey guitar. She's sort of over-singing here. She does this a couple times, and I wonder, is this how it is on the original? Did she over-sing on the original and then she recreates the kind of stuff? I don't know. I do like the strings are kind of integrated pretty nicely here. Just great lyrics. Freedom just means missing you. So this is cool because this is a song from a perspective of somebody who broke up with somebody who regrets it. This is a great regret album. All sorts of different forms of regret. You gave me all your love and all I gave you was goodbye. That's great. So here's a song which is like not one of my favorites, not one of my least favorites. It's just kind of like fine. It's a fine song on this album. I love the sort of epic restatement of the chorus. Like it does feel like she might be writing with stadiums in mind, kind of bells, but this regret that's all over the place where it seems as though she's really regretting breaking up with this person. And the way that she says it is really nice. And then that feeds so well into the next song, Speak Now. So when the album was called Speak Now, I assumed that was her statement of like, oh, you think I can't write all my own songs? Well, I'm going to speak now. But no, that's not what speak now means. Speak now means that part in the marriage where they go, if anyone knows any reason why these two should not be married, speak now or forever hold your peace. That's the speak now. I do love the great rhythms here, kind of sparse guitar. And this feels to me more like we're getting into the Red zone, that kind of poppy, like hey, maybe Max Martin could have done a version of Speak Now and it would have been awesome. I'm not the kind of girl does she say it in a white belt event? Some kind of weird detail here. This is basically a cover of the great Radiohead song Drunken Punch Up at a Wedding. Just a sort of typical song about watching someone you love get married. What I love is that we don't know how it ends. We think that she stands up and says something, but we don't actually know what happens. At least I can't figure it out. Does she actually stand up or say? What I like to imagine is that she stands up and doesn't say anything. I mean, this is such a weird romantic trope anyway, because as someone who's been married twice, I can tell you that there's nobody who could have showed up and said, because I love you, that wouldn't have just met with me being like, because by the time you're at that point in the wedding, by the time you're up to the I do's, you're in, It'd be like being like halfway down a dip in a roller coaster and someone being like, get out of the roller coaster, I love you. And it's like, I'm on this thing. Anyways, I do like how she refers to the wedding music as a death march. In case you don't know this, the traditional wedding song, bum, bum, ba, bum, 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 ba, bum, is written by Wagner, okay? Wagner, who was not a Nazi, he was before the Nazis, but he held a lot of views that the Nazis really appreciated. Adolf Hitler loved Wagner. The Wagner Group was named that, the Russian semi-Nazi paramilitary group that caused Putin all that trouble last month. They were named after Wagner because they have Nazi sympathies, which is why never call that group Wagner. They're Wagner, after Wagner. So anyway, I like anyone that throws shade at that Wagner song. Don't play Nazi music at your wedding. How about that? How about you pick a different song? How about you walk the aisle to this song? I don't care. Walk the aisle to the hamster dance. It's all better than Wagner. Who wants to mark the beginning of their life with somebody else with a proto-Nazis march? And a march? Anyways, what I like about this is even though, like, the lines between what I like about this album and what I don't like about this. And again, I'm talking about my personal preference, but I think perhaps my personal preference might have larger resonances with more people. That's why I insist on sharing it. Is that is there venom? Is there personal venom in this? And I don't think there is, because I think she's the butt of the joke here. I think that Taylor, you're supposed to think of her as pathetic, hiding behind the curtain and isn't invited. And you're supposed to think of this bride like this feels to me like an easy follow-up from the previous song where the guy that she broke up with and that she regrets is now getting married and she's trying to break it up, but she doesn't. So even though this could feel like it's a revenge song or petty, I don't feel that it is. Did Jake Gyllenhaal get married? I don't know. He's always been kind of overrated, though, hasn't he? I mean, Donnie Darko, man, that movie's overrated. It's good, but people act like it anyways. The Day After, stupid-ass movie. It's like hanging in the New York Library. I gotta burn books. All right, next track is Dear John. Wait, am I a Swiftie now because I just said bad things about Jake Gyllenhaal? I don't like Maggie Gyllenhaal either. I mean, I don't hate her, but I don't think she's a particularly engaging actress. I could do without all the Gyllenhaals. There you go. Dear John, the next song, which despite my best efforts, I know is about Jake Gyllenhaal. This, I think, and I don't know if this is accepted knowledge in the Swiftie-verse, but this feels to me like her showing the world what she could become. This feels like her mature songwriting coming out in her early days. Yeah, you've got the pedal steel, which of country instruments is, I love pedal steel, very moving guitar, but this is personal and universal. It's like slow and sad, but it's also what the young kids call a bop. It is like epic and heartbreak, and it's sort of a revenge song, like airing her dirty laundry about being with an older man when she's only 19 years old, but it doesn't feel spiteful. It doesn't feel haughty. It feels like she's working through this regret of being taken advantage of. And I don't know if you've ever been taken advantage of, but this song is for you. If you've been taken advantage of and you finally say, it's enough, I am not going back to New Hampshire. This is enough. I'm done. You want to know what I think? This is what I think. Dear John, I am out. Peace. Eat a peach. Fuck off. Love, Skye. Okay? That's what this is. And it's great. It's great. It's great. It's awesome. Like, goddamn. Like, this, I get it, We're going to get to the parts I don't like of this album soon. You notice I've only been saying positive things so far. Oh, there's 2 songs in this album, back to back. So get your angry thumbs ready, your angry fingers ready. But this song, Mother Accused Me of Losing My Mind, feels very personal, feels more real. I could do a little bit without some of the production details. There's this little sort of like studio guitar lick, which just feels way too Nashville for me. Which version of you will I get on the phone? Have you ever been in a relationship where you don't know which version of a person you'll get on the phone? Have you ever been in a relationship and the person who is in love with you doesn't know which version of you they're going to get on the phone? Because I've been that guy. I have been that guy. I didn't mean to be that guy. I was that guy, though. I was that guy. I wasn't a dude in his 30s with someone who's a teenager, but I was that guy. And then this whole question of who's to blame. Is she to blame for her optimism, or is he to blame for giving and taking love? Don't you think 19 is too young to be played with your fake twisted games? Very moving. And this isn't where I'm crying. I was going for a walk and I reached a little end of a cul-de-sac, and then there was a strong smell of horse poop. So I guess I must have walked into some kind of stable. But I remember just sort of thinking, I like that. Oh. And there's this amazing bit at the end where there's real catharsis. I'm shining like a firework over your sad, empty, small town. This album is filled with the imagery of her moving someplace better. I think it's supposed to be always New York, some kind of big, shiny, important town. And that the people that she leaves behind, the people who she ascends over, the people who she dunks on, okay? I want you to picture Taylor Swift in her Speak Now dress with the basketball slam dunking over Jake Gyllenhaal. Okay, I want you to picture that image in your head. Okay? Do you have Taylor Swift slam dunking the basketball over Jake Gyllenhaal in your head? That's what this is, And you're just in your sad, empty, small town. But then, great bendy guitars, by the way, in the end here. I don't know how the bendy guitars are able to make it feel so much more epic, but they are. Then she says, I should have known. And that's the part that breaks your heart. That breaks your heart. Because no, Taylor Swift, you're not supposed to know. You're not supposed to know. You're 19 years old. You have more fame than you could possibly deal with. You're surrounded by well-wishers and sycophants and ill-wishers, okay? You're not supposed to know. Jake Gyllenhaal is super duper hot. And what are you supposed to do? You're not supposed to have known. This is why people... Maybe you should have listened to your mom. Maybe. I don't know. But no, this is just life. You shouldn't have known. You got taken advantage of. And that's what kills you. Like that's the tagline that makes you understand how real this song is. That after this whole thing where she's excoriating this lech, at the very end she's like, I should have known. Like, it's my fault. Okay. Then we get to the song Mean. Do I have a journey to share with you on the song Mean? Who cares about the song? This banjo and mandolin, it's great. It's wonderful. This song is the song that had me crying my eyes out. Because I think a lot about abuse, okay? And I don't just mean physical abuse. I think more about psychological abuse than I do about physical abuse. Do you know why? Because physical abuse is easy. You can spot a bruise and say, that person's fine. I mean, that person's not fine, okay? Most abuse that I think about and that I see and that I know of is manipulation, control, psychological, verbal, and it's very serious and it's very bad. So I listen to this song and I swear to God, I am in my stupid sun hat and on this hill just crying, thinking about myself, thinking about friends I've had, loved ones I've had, family members I've had, who are either in or who have been in abusive relationships. And the sense when she says, I'll be in a city and you'll just be mean. It's perfect. Like, that's the perfect, like, that's revenge. Revenge is not putting someone down or singing about them in a song or calling them poopy face. Revenge is just, you're just gonna be mean. Oh my God. People need this song. This song needs to exist. You know? And what I love is that, you know, like she's writing this, and part of what makes her personality so interesting is that she's always growing and she's always moving. She's always going towards somewhere else. I think this is part of why she doesn't mix with modern country as well as people would like her to. I spend a fair amount of time listening to modern country music. I don't review it because I don't like it enough to talk about it. But I will say that the primary theme that I hear, that I pick up on is, I'm good, I'm set. I live in this place, and this place isn't very good, and my behavior isn't very good, and I'm not educated, and I'm not kind, and I'm not thoughtful, and I'm not open-minded, and I have substance abuse issues, and I consume more than I can afford, and I'm great. I am the best. I am great. And everyone around me who does all these things is great too. We are all completely ignorant and totally angry for no reason all the time, and we never need to change ever. We are the greatest. Done. Okay? And that to me is very depressing. I do not enjoy that theme. I don't care who has that theme. I don't like that theme. That theme pops up in rap music quite a bit. I don't like it in rap music either. This is how we do things around here, and we don't need to change things around here. Hey, maybe you don't, but maybe you do, and maybe you're just being too defensive. Taylor Swift is never in that space. She's always moving up and out, up and out. And just this whole image, like, I cannot tell you, because I don't want to get this personal on the channel, but I'll tell you that I see faces. I see faces of the mean, and I see faces of the Taylor. My faces of people I care about. And like, I see them moving away and I just see the mean people. Like, in my head, there is a bar where all of those mean people are just sitting and drinking and being mean and tearing each other apart. That's Dante. He wrote the Inferno. And the thing about the Inferno is that people are always punished according to their sins, you know? And I love the idea of this bar of these mean people just picking each other apart for eternity, because that's what they deserve. Now, what's my journey with this song? I talked to my wife about the song. I told her I'm crying my eyes out. I sent her the song. She's like, does she have an abusive father? I'm like, I don't know. I was like, that's the crazy thing about Taylor Swift. You never know when she's writing about herself or when she's not. I prefer not to know. She's like, there's no way that she doesn't have an abusive father. This feels so specific and so real. I'm like, I don't know. This morning, I'm making pancakes. I make pancakes for my family every Sunday. Kenji Lopez's recipe, egg whites, whole thing. Very, very good pancakes. Best pancakes you've ever had. So I'm making the pancakes, and then she comes down. She's like, oh yeah, I read about it. The song's about a music critic. No. It can't be. It can't be. This is now my favorite fact in music history, you know? Like seriously, like this is it. You know? Okay, Hey Jude is about Paul trying to comfort John's son during a divorce. That's pretty good. This is better. The fact that a song that made me cry and weep because it's such a great description of how one can reclaim power in an abusive relationship through striving to be ahead and allowing the people who let you down to just suffer and dwindle into nothing as they're consumed by their own hatred and smallness. It's about a music critic? Oh, it's great. What are you supposed to do, you know? Mozart wrote his oboe concerto when he was 21 years old. He did a lot of things, but listen to the oboe concerto and just understand that was a 21-year-old. What the hell could he have known about what he was writing, okay? What life experience would have led Mozart to write the oboe concerto? None. Some people just have genius. Some people just have it. And if we're lucky enough, they apply it. And that's what this is. This song is no worse because it is petty at its origin. It's just, that's why I prefer not to know the biography. Because to me, if it turns out she did have an abusive father, that would have also been kind of disappointing because it makes it a little bit less universal. I don't know. Next up is The Story of Us. Kind of cheesy guitar chugging here, sparks flying, more sparks here. Again, more listens, the more I like it. Just, I love her voice and the hook. The Story of Us looks a lot like a tragedy now, and kind of setting up the next chapter. Does a lot of the sort of like talking kind of. It's a problem I often have with Taylor Swift is whenever she does her sort of like sassy talking voice, I find it inauthentic. Then we get to this sort of like early 2000s drum bit where it's like basically disco drums, like doom 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 doom. But it's okay. But this is like, it's not great. It's fine. But this is not the transcendent songwriting of Mean or of Dear John. You know, like the imagery of like, I'll put down my armor and it's okay. But then we get to Never Grow Up. I watched a movie version of the play Fiddler on the Roof. I don't remember anything about Fiddler on the Roof. I remember it was good. But there's a song called Sunrise, Sunset. And if you are a parent who cares about your kids, you cannot watch Sunrise, Sunset without weeping like a baby. And if you are a parent of children like myself, somebody who has a 10-month-old baby and a high schooler going off to college and another high schooler, okay? So I've seen the growing up thing. This Never Grow Up song, again, I don't understand it. How did somebody who does not have children, I doubt she even had a niece. Did she have a niece? Is that how she was able to write this song? How the hell does someone write a song this good about the bittersweet emotions of having a baby without having a baby? I don't know. Just guitar and voice. This is that pared back stuff. This is what I love so much. Oh, darling, don't grow up, and it's saccharine, and it's sweet, and it's oversweet, and blah, blah, blah. Hey, knock it off. Knock it off, critics who could listen to the song and be cynical. Because it's a beautiful idea, and it's very well executed. And this whole section of you're 14 years old, and don't be mean to your mom because she's getting older too. Don't lose the way you danced around in your PJs before school. this insane bridge of like take pictures in your mind of your childhood room and remember the footsteps. The footsteps? See, the thing is, she became so famous so quickly that I have a hard time believing she has any authentic memories of childhood. But she must. But it's one of my favorite things. And tell me this isn't true. Do you not know the footfall of every single member of your family? Like, I walk very gently down the street, down the stairs, because my father walked like an elephant, and I don't want to feel like him. I'm a careful man with a careless father. So when I walk down the stairs, it's very delicate. When I walk up the stairs, I always walk up the stairs, and then there's a little pause, because I'm usually checking my comments on YouTube before I open up a door. I've got bad habits, you know. My son usually walks fairly carelessly. My wife has a very specific gait, especially when she's holding on to our baby. Like, this kind of domestic detail is so beautiful because you right now, if you're watching this video with someone else, pause it and talk to them. How did your mom walk? How did your dad walk? How did your brother walk? You know? And here she is, and she's putting this in the song, and it's this little tiny thing, and it's beautiful. No one has burned you. And this, what I love about this is, you know, that there has been, so my older kids had a fairly tough upbringing. Okay. So, product of an unhappy marriage, we'll put it that way. You could do a bunch of math with what I've been talking about and probably come to the correct conclusions, but we'll just leave it at that. So they had a lot of tough stuff happen to them, but now I have a baby and I'm very happy, and I'm in a very happy, loving marriage and a very, very happy, loving house and all that. So it's very funny because, like, the other day, like, we were giving her a bath and like a little bit of water got in her eye, and we were like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened in her entire life. Like, that's not even a joke. Like, that's it. Like that was it, you know? And like that feeling of like seeing something so small and knowing that the worst thing that can happen to it, that no scars or heartbreak. And then at the end, it all becomes clear. At the end, it all becomes clear because it's about her moving to the city and it's colder than she thought it would be. How does she come up with these analogies? How does she come up with it? She does not get enough respect. I know she's a billionaire and everybody loves her and she can sell out all the concerts and she wins all the Grammys and she does the Capital One commercials and she has all the Swifties. I don't care. She deserves more credit as a songwriter. She just does. Because then the nightlight from the beginning comes on here and you understand she's actually singing about herself and she's like singing a song to her younger self and she's like trying to self-care while she's growing up and not able to understand like how she's growing and like how hard it is to maintain some sense of innocence and like and sweetness in the world, that she's outside of herself and talking to herself when she was younger to give herself comfort now that she's an adult and in a cold world. Worst album. God damn it. Do I have to... Maybe I need to re-listen to Fearless. This might be better than Fearless. I don't know. Enchanted, church-like organ, gently strummed guitar. What I like about this is I teach French. That is my job. I don't get to teach as much as I'd like, unfortunately, low enrollments. But still, that is what I was taught. And in the first day of teaching French, you know, you teach everyone, hello, how are you? Bonjour, ça va bien? Oui, ça va mal. Okay? But you also teach them Enchanted, which is what you say in French. It's not a joke. When you meet someone in French, it doesn't matter who you are, who they are, you basically always say you're enchanted. Enchanté. Enchanté. And it's funny because you're like, you know, you'll be at a trade show and you'll be meeting the regional supplier for an envelope factory, and you'll shake their hand and be like, I'm enchanted to meet you. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way that it is. So I like that because she's kind of playing it. And what I like about this song is, even though I don't like the early stages of love songs that she often has, you know, the sparks flying in the rain, you know. I do like this because this is sort of unrequited. We don't really know what's going to happen. And just my very first Taylor Swift review was on Lover, and I compared Taylor Swift to the Princesse de Clèves. This is an amazing book from the 17th century written by Madame de Lafayette, one of the greatest novels in the history of the world. Crucial piece of feminist writing. It's not easy to really read because it's written in a very different mindset. It's written in a pre-romantic mindset, so she's not going to behave in ways that you want her to, but the way that love and longing and lust is expressed through a very innocent lens of a very young and powerful young woman, I really think there's very good parallels there. So I don't know, but I personally think Taylor Swift would do a great job as the Princess de Clèves. Just great strings on here, and I like how it kind of builds up, and this is sort of like a good Maroon 5 song. Better Than Revenge. Part 1 of the section of the album. I don't like it. I don't like it. Just don't be mad at a woman who steals your man. A woman can't steal a man. A man cheats on you. That's what happens. A man leaves you. The woman is not the person who hurt you. The man is the one who hurts you. So why are you taking out on her? Never ever get mad at the person who cheats with your partner. Save all of your anger, all of your frustration at your partner. Who the hell's that other person? Hey, open. Everybody in the entire world. Go ahead. Try to steal my wife. Not going to happen because my wife and I have a secure relationship. Okay? Jake Gyllenhaal, come here tomorrow. Hey, what's up, Dr. and Mrs.? Want to go grab a cup of coffee? And she'd be like, no. Okay. This is getting weird. It does have some good zingers. No amount of vintage dresses can give you dignity. It's just revenge is stupid. Revenge is stupid. It's a stupid plot. I'm going to ruin so much of the world for you. Movies that are based on revenge are very simple and unintelligent. Up there goes most Tarantino movies. Up there goes most Kung Fu movies. Up there goes most Mel Gibson movies. It's a stupid, simple, simplistic animal instinct. Revenge. It's indignant. No one ever revenge anybody. Just don't. It's stupid. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. There's no good thing about revenge. It's simple. He stepped on my foot. I'm going to step on his foot. Dun, 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 dun. Who cares? It's not good. So, I don't think revenge is valuable. Also, faster than you can say sabotage. Sabotage is not that easy of a word to say, I appreciate the Frenchness. Sabot is actually a kind of a wooden shoe. So sabotage actually means kicking someone with a wooden shoe, trying to make them mess up. That's where sabotage comes from. And then we get to innocent. Okay. Kanye West is my favorite living artist. I do not appreciate what he is doing right now. I do not support any of his statements. I don't listen to him right now. Okay? But that is still true. You can love somebody's art while disavowing them as a person. Okay? So, I do not defend what Kanye West did at the 2010 Video Music Awards. Okay? He should not have done that. There you go. Don't get up on stage and interrupt. I do think that is the most important moment of the 21st century musically. The two greatest musical geniuses in the world intersecting in a public stage in a way that would define both of their careers going forward. You can just a couple of millionaires just hanging around. It's pretty weird how high the stakes are. But let's talk real about that event. There's the event, which is, hey man, it's not cool. Okay, he was right, okay? The idea that single ladies did not win that award was obscene and wrong. Okay, fine, but who cares? Awards are stupid anyways, and especially music video awards. Come on, who cares? So in theory, he's right, whatever that video was that Taylor didn't win for, I saw it, it's fine. It's like someone in a room, who cares? But it's not, okay, but it doesn't matter. There's a racial reality to that event, which I saw in real time, and it scared the hell out of me, and it still scares me. Okay? You cannot see that event and the reaction to that event and not tie it to the death of Emmett Till. And I know you just said, what? But it's all in the continuum. Okay? The idea that black men are menacing and going to hurt young white women is the motor behind most lynchings, behind much, if not most, racist acts throughout history. Okay? This is not me hypothesizing. This is, as the kids say, straight facts. Okay? What does this have to do with Taylor Swift? Nothing. She's born with her skin. Who cares? She is not the problem here. Kanye West is not the problem here. It was the reaction. So having lived through that moment, it was brutal. Because I listen to a lot of right-wing media, especially because I care a lot about sports. A lot of, especially Boston sports radio is very right-wing. And I heard Kanye West referred to as a thug and a hoodlum so many times. These weird coded words and this discussing of this poor innocent girl. Oh, this poor innocent girl. She's a multi-millionaire pop star. She's fine. It's unpleasant. It shouldn't have happened. It's wrong. Her career was not over. It was one single moment of glory in a lifetime filled with glory. Okay? So this moment is not about Taylor Swift and Kanye West. It was never about that. It was a moment where the racists in America felt unchained. Finally, they can say everything they've wanted to be said, but they've been biting their tongue for so long because all this stupid political correctness, and they can unleash on this one unlikable target. Okay? And yes, Kanye West is a very good unlikable target. And he's still wrong. As Barack Obama said, he's a jackass. That's probably the best way to say it. He's a jackass, okay? But that wasn't what the conversation became. The conversation became a thinly veiled attack, racist attack on black masculinity. That's what it became. Because our society is always this close from launching into that kind of discourse, okay? So, what does that have to do with the song Innocent? So this is Taylor Swift's reaction to that moment. And whether she meant to or not, she's participating in it. She's participating in that negative, racist reaction. Because she infantilizes Kanye West. She says, "You're 32 and still growing up now." That line is so offensive. That is as offensive as him jumping up on the stage. You're 32 and still growing up now. What the hell are you talking about? He was just a jackass. You can't write a song. It's so patronizing. You're innocent. What do you know about innocent? Maybe he's not innocent. Like, who wants this? Like, what is this for except to show that she's the bigger person and people can change and I still believe in you? And to me, this song is completely offensive. And it is totally forgivable. Like, I don't think it's like offensive and like she should be canceled or that she is trying to be racist. I don't think so at all. I think without the dialogue around this, without the racist dialogue around this, this is a perfectly acceptable response to what happened because, what the hell? I mean, it was totally unpleasant. Like, that's not cool at all what happened to her. It's not cool at all, right? It's not. But, so this was the main thing that I knew about her in 2010, Like, I heard this song back then. I was like, whoa, this is not a good look. This is a real problem because the whole narrative was that he was a savage thug who was victimizing this young, pure little girl. And then this young, pure little girl writes a young, pure little song where she talks about how the thug is actually innocent. Okay? It's a good song, though. I actually like the production on this. The drums are kind of in the back. Feels that there's actually like a full-on When the Levee Breaks style drum beat. I wonder if it's an original sample, but I'm not going to listen to Scooter. So, there's also the long-standing beef between them. It's not a beef. Kanye's he's just an asshole, and he just keeps being an asshole. So it's not a beef. Taylor's right in all of it, right? So it doesn't matter how much of a fan I am of Ye. He's wrong, but he didn't make her famous, right? Obviously, he didn't make her famous. But he did bring her a kind of racialized fame that she didn't ask for. This event did amplify her fame in a certain way that she didn't ask for. And that is indisputable. What I think is interesting is that, if you put the song in the track listing, like you can compare it with Mean in a lot of ways because he's talking about you only know what you know. But then also, it's supposed to be the I'm going to be the bigger person song, right? I'm going to be a bigger person. You're innocent. Your light still shine. But the song before is I'm the best at revenge. It's revenge. It's also a revenge song. This is also her saying, this is also a calculated, I believe, by the track listing, a calculated attempt to say, boo-boo, I'm going to be magnanimous. You are, okay? That's how I read it. Okay. Are you okay? Are you mad at me? You might be. I'm not an expert on race relations in America. I'm not an expert on the history of black men being murdered in defense of white womanhood. I've read some books, watched some videos, and I am totally open to any kind of discussion you want to have in the comments. Like, Skye, you have no idea how wrong you are, or this is way too presumptuous, or you're being racist. Maybe I'm being racist in some way that I'm not fully appreciative of. These are tricky topics. But I'm just trying to bring to you where I'm coming to for the song. Then we move on to Haunted. Anyway, so those are the down points of the album. Beyond the fact that I'm generally unmoved by most of the production on the album, those are the real down points. Just those two songs back to back, just real stinkers, Beautiful basketball court with a dead spot, Boom, all right. Then we get to Haunted, like epic guitar and strings. I like the way it kind of settles, almost speak singing. I hate the snare sound in this song. Ugh, 2010 snare sound. Ugh, what's happening? Is this what they had in the original? Couldn't they have fixed the snare sound? I like the piano on the bridge. The song's a little too long. Last Kiss. More of the betting stuff. This is just those intimate details that she's able to write. Just this unbelievable ability to write songs. Just these haunting synthesizers and this beautiful acoustic guitar. This reminds me of there's a whole bunch of songs from the 80s that I pretended that I didn't like because I wasn't supposed to like them because, I was buying into toxic masculinity and other stuff like that. Like Total Eclipse of the Heart. That song absolutely rules. I was going to say bangs, but that song rules. Total Eclipse of the Heart is a great song. Now I'm just falling apart. Beautiful. Seriously. This song feels like it could fit in that heritage of soft rock pop hits of the 80s. I never thought we'd have a last kiss. I don't know how to be something you'd miss. How does she write these lyrics? That's the thing, is that she writes so many songs that I imagine must relate to so many women in so many different ways. So despite the fact that she's this beautiful goddess of creativity and fame and all that, being able to write the lyric, I don't know how to be something you'd miss. I mean, it applies to men too, but I imagine it hits a little bit harder for women who identify with her as a female vocalist. Just feeling banal, feeling normal, feeling, what's the word? Basic? I don't know how to be something you'd miss. Just appreciate the woman, would you? The final track on the album, not the final track on the 11-disc thing or whatever, but the final thing I'll review here is Long Live. Again, it's kind of weird. It's almost like a U2 acoustic. Starts off acoustic and then builds into a U2 anthem rock song. This seems to be about remembering the rush of a public relationship. The way she sings the word pretender reminds me strongly of the song The Great Pretender by Jackson Browne. I wonder if she listens to Jackson Browne. I think if you are a Taylor Swift fan, you would like Jackson Browne. Jackson Browne is another great singer-songwriter who writes lyrics that make you just go, duh! He's not as good as Taylor Swift, but he writes amazing lyrics, amazing songs. This feels very Jackson Browne to me. Can you tell me if you're a Swiftie? Does she make reference to Jackson Browne? Thieves in ripped up jeans got to rule the world. That's goofy. It's just, whoa, what was that? What was that? I just made the weirdest sound I've ever made on this channel. Do not watch whatever just happened in slow motion. That was weird. I guess I shouldn't have said anything bad about the thieves in ripped up jeans who got to rule the world. It's like the video of people when they drink seltzer. My tummy hurts. But again, this is her skill. She's able to make the unrelatable relatable. I don't know what it's like to feel like you're in a stadium with the person that you love and everyone's watching you. And it's uplifting and not an angry ending. Long live the walls we crashed through. Great lyric, uplifting. So the beginning and this are very happy beginning and endings to an album that is really very tortured and really quite sad. So there you go. There's my review. But what did you think? Are you okay with me saying that this is the worst album of hers I've heard? What's next? Is she gonna do 1987? 8, 9, 1989? That's what it is, right? Is that the next one? Or is she gonna do her first album? That's the other thing. Just the work ethic she has to have to do this. I mean, it's one thing to make as many great new albums as she has, but to re-record all of her albums so that I can listen to them for the first time, it's very nice of her. All right. Well, until next time, read Princess de Clèves, more in Harry Potter, and there's the camera.